Hi everyone, it's Elaine Spielberg from BalletMet, and I'm here to bring you another activity that you can do at home to help you pass the time and also to help keep your interest in ballet going strong. This one is a tutu to make at home. So let's take a look. You can see on the chair behind me that I have strung between the two chairs a piece of ribbon. Now I'm using wrapping ribbon that you use to do your presents with, but you can certainly use any other kind of long ribbon that you may have. You're going to need between 3 and 4 feet of ribbon. You could also use an elastic. So if you have an elastic waistband that's just handy, or your parents give you permission to cut the elastic out of the top of an old pair of tights, you can use that too. You would stick your elastic over the chair like this, and if you're using the ribbon like I am, then you're going to take it from one chair to another. Now, as you can see, the material that I am using for my tutu is a plastic bag, and that's because I don't have any tulle at home. Now, this is going to bring up an important point, and that is that for all of the crafts that we use, I want you to use things that you have at your own home. There's no need to ask your parents to go out and buy anything. I don't want you to ask them to order anything online. I want you to think creatively and problem solve. Dancers are really good at that, and this is another way to practice. So if you are using plastic bags like I am, what you're going to do is take a plastic bag and begin to cut it. This will require some adult supervision, so make sure that your parents are watching you as you are using scissors, or ask them to help you to do it. First, start by snipping off the handles. After that, you're going to just simply cut the bag into about 1-inch strips, just all the way down, and set them aside. Now, how many bags you need to use is going to depend on how thick you want your tutu to be. So if you want yours to be really thick, you're probably going to use 6 or 7 bags. Be sure to ask your parents that that's all right before you do it. If you don't mind yours being kind of stringy and that's the look that you want to go for, you may only need 2 bags. So you be the best judge of that. You get to decide. And that's another thing about making your own craft. There is no right or wrong. It's yours uniquely. All right, after you have cut out your strips of plastic and you have already strung your string across the chair, now you're going to start making slip knots with your plastic strips. This is really easy to do. So take your plastic, fold it in half so you make a loop, and now stick it through underneath the ribbon. Hold on to the closed end and take your 2 loose ends and feed it through the loop, just like that. And then just pull it down until it's nice and snug against the ribbon. It's really that simple. And you're just going to keep repeating that process until you feel satisfied with how thick or how thin your tutu is. So while we're doing this, let's talk a little bit about tutus and about how they first came to be. Tutu is a French word for the word bottom, and it also might have come from the idea of 2 layers of tulle. Do you hear it? 2 layers of tulle. 2, 2. Do you hear that? Yeah. Well, we learned in the last video about tiaras and headdresses that the people in the old days, in the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, they used to wear very fancy and ornate outfits when they danced. And at that time, very popular for women's fashions was to wear floor-length dresses. Well, at this time now, in the 1832, there was a ballet that was created for Marie Taglioni, who was a very famous dancer at the time. And this was the first time in history where the tutu was put to use. And now it's also a really important time to mention because it was also during this ballet that pointe shoes were used for the first time in a professional ballet. So this was quite stirring for audiences at the time and really caused a commotion. Number one, to see a female's ankles, and number two, that you could see that she was on top of her toes and she was skimming across the floor, making it look like she was flying or that she was otherworldly. And so that was quite a sight to behold at that time period. Tutus of that time were made out of heavily starched cotton muslin, not the tulle that we think of today. Well, time went on and costumes continued to progress just the same as the steps continued to progress. We know by this point in time that the steps were becoming more intricate and involved, like more beaded steps, more beaded jumps, and multiple pirouettes. So around 1870, that's when Italian dancers started to raise the level of the hem to make it more of the knee length, and that exposed more of the leg so the dancers could see, so the audiences could see what the dancers were doing with their feet. Whenever you see a ballet where the tutu is long and white and it's around the level of the calf, you know automatically that that is a romantic era ballet. So we call that type of tutu a romantic tutu. Now, as time progressed and the hemline got to the knee, eventually it started to get higher than that. And this is the tutu that you think of. So think about Swan Lake, about the beautiful outstretched tutu that comes from below the waist and out. And that kind is called the classical tutu. So this was now 1895, and tutus were beginning to take the form and take the shape that we think of today. By the 20th century, more changes were taking place in the dance world, not just for choreography, but also in our costuming. Sergei Diaghilev, with the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo, he had some interesting takes on costuming because he had a much more modern approach to all things that he did in the theater. And by the 1940s, wires were beginning to become inserted into the tutus to give them a little bit more stability and lift. And by 1940s, this is around the time that we start to see that tulle is what the costumes, what the tutus are being made out of. There is a really great video that I invite you to view with your parents. Check out BalletMet Sugar Plum Fairy on YouTube from 2013, and you'll get a really nice up-close view of tiaras and tutus from the Sugar Plum Fairy. Anyway, now that your tutu is complete, you can take it, wrap it around your body, and dance about your family room. Have fun, everybody. Enjoy, and we'll see you next time.